In this video, I'm going to show you how to create and manage custom events and custom bets on the Lose the Juice platform. If you're struggling with how to create custom events and integrate them into your game day atmosphere, this video walks you through exactly what you need to do to start providing a unique experience for your players. Let's get started. One of the things that makes the player experience on Lose the Juice unique and stand out from traditional sports books is the ability for each venue to create its own custom bets. These custom bets can be based on your in-house experience or local festivities and are a great way to encourage your customers to keep coming back. One quick word on terminology. Throughout this video, I'll be using the words event and bet. Events are sporting events, competitions, or other activities with a starting time and a winner or correct answer. Each event contains one or more bets. A bet is an aspect of the event in which players can pick their expected outcome. Using a familiar example, a football game would be an event, and the winning team, the margin of victory for the winning team, and the total number of points scored are each bets. Each bet falls into one of three categories. Moneyline bets are bets tied directly to the outcome of the event without any adjustment to the number of points scored. Each outcome of a moneyline bet has its own odds based on the likelihood of that outcome being the winner. Spread bets are bets in which two outcomes are considered to be unequal, and an adjustment will be made to the number of points scored by each team so that the two outcomes become equally likely. Total bets are bets on the total number of combined points scored in the event by all teams. For total bets, players choose either over or under the total number of points scored. If you're new to sports betting, you can find more detailed definitions and examples at losethejuice.com/glossary. Another term you'll hear in this video is grade. Grading is determining which possible outcome of a bet is the winning outcome and whether a player's pick is a win or a loss. We'll get into the specifics of grading in another video that you can find in a link below. Custom events and bets are managed through the Lose the Juice admin portal. You can reach the portal using the login button in the top right corner of losethejuice.com or by bookmarking app.losethejuice.com. You'll need the group admin or bet manager role to make changes to events and bets. The custom events feature is included in enhanced and premium Lose the Juice memberships. If you wish to upgrade your membership, go to the account billing portal from the user menu and click Update Plan. To add new custom events, we'll go to Custom Bets on the top navigation and then Manage Custom Bets. If you are on a mobile device, Custom Bets is located under the hamburger menu. The Manage Events screen shows a list of all upcoming events from popular sports leagues that are part of your subscription. You can filter the list by league using the drop-down, or search by event name or team name. To create a new custom event, click the New Custom Event button. First, provide a name for your event. Your players will see this displayed at the top of the event on the mobile app. Next, use the date picker to choose a start date and time for your event. This date will be the deadline for players to make picks for this event. Once you've completed these fields, click Create Event. All custom events you create will be shown under the House Bets league. Everything under House Bets will only be visible to your venue and to players in your group. After you've created your event, you can edit the event details or delete the event. Now let's add some bets to your event. For your new event, you'll find an accordion panel for each of the bet types. Expanding the accordion will show all existing bets of that type and a button to create a new bet of that type. Before we create our bets, let's talk a bit about how bets are shown to your players. When players see a list of events, each event shows the teams that are competing and up to 3 bets, 1 money line, 1 spread, and 1 total bet. These 3 bets are called the primary bets, and there can be up to 1 of each type. Any additional bets that exist for the event outside of the primary bets are shown on the All Bets screen for an event, which can be accessed by tapping the More option. On the All Bets screen, the primary bets are shown at the top, and then an expandable panel is shown for each bet category. Expanding a category reveals all bets in that category with the bet name on top. Okay, now let's go back to our custom event and start creating our bets. Let's start with a moneyline bet. First, we have the Bet Active checkbox. A bet being active means players are allowed to see it and make picks for it. You can uncheck this if you don't want the bet to be available as soon as you finish creating it. You can also uncheck this option later if you need to disable a bet for whatever reason. Check the primary bet checkbox if you want this bet to be shown on event list screens. Usually you'll only want to use this option if it will be clear to the player that the bet is tied to the overall result of the event. I'll show you what I mean with a couple of examples in just a minute. Next, we have the bet name. This is the name that will be visible to players at the top of a bet. It should make it clear to the player what exactly the bet means and what they are picking to happen. If this is a primary bet, this field will be disabled. After bet name is category name. This tells the system which of the bet categories to place this bet under when it is displayed to the player. There isn't a list of preset categories. You can just type any value in this field, and all bets with the same category name will automatically be grouped together. You can also choose to leave this field blank, and the bet will automatically be displayed under the Additional Bets category. If this is a primary bet, this field will be disabled. Next, we'll define the sides of this bet. A side is just a possible outcome of the bet. For each side, provide a name and the odds. You can add additional sides with the plus button, or remove sides with the trash can button. When you grade your bets, you'll need to tell the system which of these outcomes was the winning outcome, so be sure to include a draw or tie option if a tie is possible. The system will automatically remove any juice or house edge contained in your odds when you save the bet, so you don't need to worry about doing any of that math yourself. Finally, we have the maximum wager field. If entered, this will enforce a maximum number of credits a player is allowed to wager on this bet. In most cases, it's best to leave this blank, but you may want a maximum wager if the bet is for something that players have a way of definitively figuring out. We'll touch on that in our examples coming up. Okay, that's a lot of information to digest. Let's go through some examples. In our first example, let's say we're the sponsor bar for a local kickball league. We want to create a bet for the game between the Kicking Kangaroos and the Sluggin' Stingrays. We're going to name the event Denver Rec Kickball and specify the time the game starts. Now, for our moneyline bet, we want this bet to simply be tied to which team wins the game. So we're going to make this the primary bet. For our sides, I'm going to use the names of the teams playing, Kicking Kangaroos and Sluggin' Stingrays. And let's say the Kicking Kangaroos are on a hot streak and are much more likely to win this game, so we'll set their odds to -500 and the Stingrays to +500. And finally, we're going to leave the maximum wager field blank to allow players to wager as much as they'd like on this bet. Let's take a look at how this bet looks on the app for our players. You can see the side names and the odds we entered for this bet appear in the primary position for this event. For our next example, let's take the same event and add a prop bet. We'll add a new moneyline bet, and this time we're going to leave primary bet unchecked. We want to make a prop about Grand Slams in the game, so we'll set the bet name to Will There Be a Grand Slam? And we want this prop bet to be grouped with other similar props, so we're going to set the category name to home runs. For our side names, we're going to create a side for yes and a side for no. Grand slams are very infrequent in kickball, so we're going to set the yes side to plus 1,000 and the no side to minus 1,000. And we'll leave the maximum wager blank. Now you can see the More option appears on our event in the mobile app. If I tap More, we'll see a category panel appears for home runs, which is the category name we used, and if we expand that, there's our Grand Slam prop bet. You can see here how the bet name combined with the side names makes it very apparent to the players what they are betting on. When a player chooses a side, the bet name and side name also appear on the confirm pick screen. Okay, let's say we want to add another prop bet to this game. We're going to leave primary bet unchecked again, and this time we'll name the bet Team with the Most Home Runs. For category name, we're going to use home runs again because we want this grouped with our last prop bet. For sides, we're going to use Kicking Kangaroos and Sluggin' Stingrays. And then we're going to create a third side and call it Same Number of Home Runs, because it's possible for a kickball game to end with each team having the same number of home runs. Maximum wager we'll leave blank again. Now if we go back to the mobile app, we can see our new prop bet has been created under the home runs category because we use the same category name as our first prop bet. You'll also notice that all three of our possible outcomes are displayed, but the button layout is a little different. Lose the Juice always allows players to bet on or against all outcomes in moneyline bets. Since there are three possible outcomes for this bet, the player can back to bet that the outcome will happen, or lay to bet that this outcome will not happen. Okay, one more moneyline example. This time let's create an event for some in-house game day experience bets. We'll call it Terry's Tavern Game Day Specials, and set the time to 8 p.m. on Saturday. Now we're going to create a new moneyline bet and call it What Color Shirts Are the Bartenders Wearing? And we'll leave category name blank. Now for the sides, we'll choose a handful of colors to list as options. Let's just leave the odds for all sides to the default plus 100 and let the system automatically adjust them for us. Now we're going to set the maximum wager to 500 credits. For this bet, since players can definitively know the correct answer by walking in the door, we want to limit the number of credits they're allowed to wager. This bet is meant to encourage the player to visit the bar on game day, but we don't want it to be a free ticket to jump to the top of the contest standings. Let's see how this one looks for our players. Here's our event under House Bets, and we see that it doesn't have any primary bets displayed because we haven't created any primary bets. If we tap All Bets, we see that our bet appears under Additional Bets because we left the category name blank. Now if we expand Additional Bets, we see the 5 sides we created, and each have been automatically set to plus 400 for the back odds and minus 400 for the lay odds. If we select one of the sides to make a pick, the Confirm Pick screen displays the maximum wager that we set. Okay, let's take a look at the next bet type, Spread Bets. The top of the screen has the same options that we saw on the Moneyline Bet screen: Bet Active, Primary Bet, Bet Name, and Category Name. Next we define our sides. Spread bets always have exactly 2 sides. For each side, we need to provide a name, the point spread, and the odds. The point spread values for the 2 sides of spread bets must always have a sum of 0. So when we change the value of one of the sides, the other automatically sets to the inverse. Values must also either be whole numbers or end in 0.5. Just like on moneyline bets, the system will automatically remove any juice or house edge contained in your odds when you save the bet, so you don't need to worry about doing any of that math yourself. Finally, we have the optional maximum wager field, just as we did for moneyline bets. For a spread bet example, let's revisit the Rec Kickball event we created earlier. Let's say we want to add a spread bet for the game between the Kicking Kangaroos and the Sluggin' Stingrays. We want this bet to simply be tied to the final score of the game, so I'm going to make this the primary bet. Now for our sides, we're going to use the names of the teams playing, Kicking Kangaroos and Sluggin' Stingrays. We said before that the Kicking Kangaroos were heavy favorites in this game, so let's say they're expected to win by 5 runs. We'll set the spread points value to -5 for the Kicking Kangaroos, and the spread value for the Sluggin' Stingrays is automatically set to +5. Let's leave the default even odds of +100 for this bet. Finally, we're going to leave the maximum wager blank to allow players to wager as much as they'd like on this bet. Let's take a look at how this bet looks on the app for our players. You can see the new spread bet is now shown in the event's primary section along with the primary money line we created earlier. Now let's take a look at the final bet type, total bets. The top of the screen has the same options that we saw on this screen for the other 2 bet types, bet active, primary bet, bet name, and category name. After those fields, we define our sides. Total bets always have exactly 2 sides, and those sides are always over and under. There's a single value of total points, and then odds for the over side and the under side. The total point value must be greater than or equal to 0, and either be a whole number or end in 0.5. Just like on the other bet types, the system will automatically remove any juice or house edge contained in your odds when you save the bet, so you don't need to worry about doing any of that math yourself. Lastly, we have the optional maximum wager field that works the same as the other bet types. For a total bet example, let's go back to the Rec Kickball event one last time. Let's say we want to add a total bet for the game between the Kicking Kangaroos and the Sluggin' Stingrays. We want this bet to simply be tied to the final score of the game, so I'm going to make this the primary bet. For the total number of points, let's say we looked at the average number of runs scored in all the kickball games so far this season, and that number was 12.5. Let's set the total to 12.5. We said earlier that the Kicking Kangaroos have been on a hot streak, so let's say the over is more likely to hit than the under. We'll set the odds for the over to -120, and the odds for the under to +120. Finally, we're going to leave the maximum wager blank to allow players to wager as much as they'd like on this bet. Let's take a look at how this bet looks on the app for our players. You can see this new total bet is now shown in the far right column of the event's primary section, along with the other primary bets we created earlier. Alright, so far we've just been working on adding custom bets to our own custom events. But Lose the Juice also allows you to create custom bets to add to events in the major sports leagues included on your subscription. This feature is included in the premium Lose the Juice memberships. If you wish to upgrade your membership, go to the account billing portal from the user menu and click Update Plan. To get started, find an event on the Manage Events screen using the League dropdown or search field. You can expand the bet type accordion panels to see what bets already exist for each type. To add a new bet, click the New Bet button. The Create Bet screen is similar to the screen we saw before for custom events, but with a few differences. First, we'll see we don't have the option to make our bet the primary bet, because the primary bets for this event already exist and are controlled by the system. Next, there's a checkbox to automatically grade using final score. This option allows you to have the system automatically grade picks made for this bet by your players in some situations. We'll go over an example in just a second. Below the bet name and category name fields, we'll now see the option to toggle between Use Teams from this event and Custom Sides. If we toggle between these two options, we see the side names switch between dropdowns with preset team names and the text fields we're used to from the custom bets we created earlier. Let's go over a few examples to see how we use these new options. We'll start with a moneyline bet. Let's say we want to add a prop bet for this hockey game for which team scores the first goal. We'll set the bet name to First Goal Scored and category name to Terry's Tavern Props. Now we're going to select the Use Teams from this event option so that the sides are set to the two teams playing, and then we're going to leave Automatically Grade using Final Score unselected. This option would have the system determine the winning side of this bet based on the final score of the game, but in this case, the winning side of our bet is the team that scores the first goal, not the team that wins the game. If we create our bet, we'll see this new prop now appears for players on the All Bets screen with the sides we created. Let's try another moneyline bet example. This time, we want a prop bet for the hockey game for whether or not a shorthanded goal will be scored in the game. Let's set our bet name to Will There Be a Shorthanded Goal and Terry's Tavern Props for the category name. This time, we're going to use the Custom Sides option because the sides of our bet won't be the names of the teams playing, they'll be yes and no. Shorthanded goals are relatively rare, so let's adjust the odds a little. Now you'll notice that the Automatically Grade using Final Score setting is disabled because we chose the Custom Sides option. The system is only able to automatically grade bets that use the teams in the event as sides. Okay, now let's try a spread bet for our next example. Let's say I want to create an alternate spread for this basketball game. We'll use Boston Big Win for the bet name and Terry's Tavern Alternates for the category name. We'll choose Use Teams from this event, and then we're going to have Boston give 20 points and lengthen the odds. Now we're going to check the Automatically Grade using Final Score option because our bet is offering the player an alternate point spread for the game, but the winning side of our bet is still based on the final score of the game. Now when this game completes, the system will automatically grade all player picks on this bet, and you won't need to enter the final score manually. That's everything there is to know about custom events and custom bets. Be sure to check out the grading video to learn all about settling custom event picks made by your players. Remember, you can always contact support@losethejuice.com if you have any questions or issues getting started. Thanks for watching.